So, as I said, developmental tips are research-based tips conveyed in easy to understand language. This is a list of developmental tips. This is our database of developmental tips right here. This is, again, an entry of an individual one, just so you can kind of get a feel for what what tags each entry would have in it. The tip itself right here, we have the title of the tip, the person who contributed the tip to the database, the domain of school readiness that this tip addresses. We have lots of domains of school readiness. If you go onto the OCK and try to contribute your own, which I'll show you how to do later, you will see lots of them. And again, the age appropriateness, so who this tip is really good for, what age children. And very important, because these are research-based tips, we have to cite our sources. So down here we have the source of the scientific research on which this tip is based. Down here we also have associated rhymes and developmental tips. This is a feature that we're still coding, but we're also going to be able to tell ahead of time in a developmental tip while entering it. We can say this rhyme would be particularly good while presenting a particular nursery rhyme or book. So that is now the third database, and I would love to now show you guys how to build your own program. So, to build your own Mother Goose on the Loose program, you would go to Create Program. And you'll get this friendly wizard here and this screen. Now, our goal of this program is first we're going to name the program. So, let's just call this Library on the Loose. And we'll call it Weekly Program. Oops. At the library. So then, once I've created a program, I then can create sessions. A session is one Mother Goose on the Loose session is done once a week. And so we have usually a session name, so it could be something as simple as session 1. If you have maybe different age groups, it might be easy to... A good session name should be understandable to you, but you should also be aware that you're going to be having, hopefully, most of the same children over and over. I find that an easy way to identify the session is by what room I'm doing it in. So maybe we could say Session 1 in the ballroom. And then you give it a date. And you can write a little extra description. So maybe this is my first session. I am very excited for it. Okay, and then we would click on this giant arrow here to go next. Here we now have the beginning of crafting your own Mother Goose on the Loose program. We have a list of the sections. We're going to be presented page by page with a list of the sections that are customizable, that can be changed. Right now we're in the Rhymes and Reads section. In the Rhymes and Reads section, we have the option to section, where we are now, we have the option to customize some rhymes. This right here wizard is going to help us create our own Mother Goose on the Loose program for this one session. What we're going to do is we're going to see a rhyme, a book, and we're going to be prompted to either change it or continue. So let's say right here I see this rhyme, Simple Simon, and I say I actually know that rhyme and I don't really like it. I can click on the rhyme box right here, and then I can scroll around until I find a rhyme that maybe I like better, and I can click on that rhyme and it will automatically be replaced. If I don't know what that rhyme is, I can always also preview it with this preview rhyme button right here, and it'll give me the title, the lyrics, the contributor, and what age groups it's appropriate for, and that will help me make a better decision. So once I decide on the rhymes and the book right here that I want, I can then go to the next section. The next section has exactly the same interface. One thing I do want to highlight here as well is adding and removing rhymes. You do have some flexibility built into the program, so while we won't let you add an infinite amount of rhymes, you can add some. So if you're in this section and you say, actually I like body rhymes, I want to do an extra one, you can just click on this plus icon right here and I'll add another rhyme for you. If, however, you speak very slowly and you know that you're not going to get around to doing all the rhymes we suggest, the same built flexibility exists in the other direction. You can always click on this little X box right here, this red X box that I'm clicking on now, and it will delete a rhyme. And that'll make your sections a little bit shorter if you maybe want them to be a little bit shorter. So let's continue now. The next section is stand-up rhymes. Stand-up rhymes are, again, composed of rhymes. Each one of these rhymes suggested here are already pre-linked to this section for you. And one feature I'd like to highlight here is the developmental tip ability. So we have the ability to add a developmental tip to any entry in this wizard by simply clicking on this circle that says DT. It'll give you this drop-down box for developmental tip. You can then click on developmental tip. You can click on a domain that particularly interests you. Let's say the world we live in. We can look at the developmental tip using the preview option we showed earlier. And if this tip looks good to us, then we can click on Add Developmental Tip. That will add the developmental tip into my program where I put it. Each Mother Goose on the Loose program should have 2 developmental tips. So let's put another developmental tip in right here. I like talking about animal sounds, and this nursery rhyme is also about animals, so I think these go well together, so I put that there. Now let's continue. Over here we are now in the musical instruments section. This is a little bit more complicated. Over here, if you want, you have the option to use your musical instruments. So first you're going to have to select an instrument. So let's say I really like bells. So let's use bells. And then once I click on that, I can click on nursery rhymes and I'll get a bunch of lists here, again, of nursery rhymes that are appropriate for that section. As we said before, we can preview the rhyme right here, and if you like it, you can click Add. So I'm just going to pick some rhymes and add them very quickly and go down here. Now, I love scarves, so I'm definitely using scarves for my second instrument. So I'm going to go right here, the wind blows high. I'm going to say, shoo fly, don't bother me. And my last rhyme is going to be, peekaboo, I see you. And then I'm going to click Next. Now for my lullaby, I don't actually like that song, so let's pick us a different one. I love Rockabye Baby, so I think we're going to use Rockabye Baby. Let's say that, add rhyme, and continue. This is our interactive rhyme section. Again, here we have a list of interactive rhymes. You can also always add your own rhyme if you want by clicking on this Add My Own Rhyme box up here, which will give you a box with all the necessary information that you must fill out to add a rhyme. That rhyme will then be submitted to us for review, so we can add it to the public database. However, you will be able to use it immediately. So let's say I actually do like this to the beach here, so we're going to keep it, and we're going to go to Next. Now you get a program outline. This is an outline of all of my choices so far, just a little review for you to look over. If you need more detail to kind of make sure you made the right choice, you can always click on this plus button here, and it'll give you a little bit more detail about all of your choices. Once you look everything over, and I'm looking everything over now, and it looks great, so I'm going to click Next. It'll give me this big Save button here, and I'm going to click Save. Great. So now I've saved it. It takes me back to my home screen.